Welcome to my series. I'm a grown-ass woman trying new things, making my own damn joy in the world. My name is Samantha. Welcome to my kitchen in Lisbon, Portugal. I want to chat your ear off today about something. I moved to Portugal because I took a hobby seriously. Let me unpack that, because I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. And maybe what you're thinking when you hear that is like, I started something that I felt passionate about, and that thing got monetized, and that's how I moved to Portugal. And that is not what I mean. I mean something completely differently. What I mean is that I embraced hobbies as a life philosophy without even really knowing it. I just kind of fell into it. I started saying yes to tiny experiments. I am a wholehearted believer in the fact that my experiments built a whole new way of life for me. And I didn't even know that's what I was doing. It's only now in 2026 that here I am looking back at my life, what it was. I was living in the United States and in the South. I'm not from the South, but I found myself living there, working a 9-to-5 job, moving up the career ladder, really working towards everything I had gone to school for, raising a family, bought a house, owned another house as a rental. So I was making passive income. Like, I was on the trajectory, building my retirement, 2-car, dual income household. Like, I was living the dream, right? Being smart, tucking savings away. And as I was doing that, I was realizing it wasn't really matching what I wanted to do. Like, I wasn't feeling excited about life the way I would feel when I was away from work, doing completely different things, when I was on vacation, when I was traveling, when I was living this alternate life. I felt more like myself. But then I was being dropped back into this life that everybody told me was the way you're supposed to live, the smart way to be an adult. And then I'm looking around, and the people who are retiring, at my job, they're retiring. They're like, finally, I'm free. I get to go and live and do all the things I've been wanting to do. And it just started to be like, so I've got to wait. Like, I just have to wait for 30 more years before I get to be happy and live that life. It just started not making sense to me. I started to be like, wait a second, kind of coming into awareness of that. So I started saying yes to things. I started saying, yes, I'm going to take this time off. Yes, I think I want to homeschool my kids, but how can I do that if I'm working? I just started living life like, okay, well, let me try this. Let me try that. I ended up leaving my job, like leaving the career, switching up my lifestyle, and doing that for the past 2 decades. I find myself sitting in Lisbon, Portugal, in my kitchen. How did I get here? I wish I could say it was like a plan. Like, well, I saved this much money and I did this, but that's not how it worked for me. I literally have been living my life like tiny experiments, and just saying yes and seeing what unfolds. I moved to Nashville. We bought a house. I ended up starting a travel writing business, became a travel photographer, also did portrait photography. I ended up in marketing, creating content, like just following these little hobbies and saying yes. And that's what I want to say. I want to say, like, I'm a girl obsessed with hobbies. That's a life philosophy. I really do believe it. You can follow that. It's like following little pebbles along a trail. That is completely valid way to live your life. I'm not saying following a 401k, going on a trajectory of a career is not valid. I'm just saying there's a completely different way to live. And if that vibes with you and no one around you is validating that, I want to be the first one to tell you that's a valid way of living. And that took me 20 years of living that way to finally be able to be like, well, I'm not just like a little fairy flitting around. I'm actually living a life philosophy where curiosity and hobbies and passions are little pebbles to me that I follow, and I allow life to unfold. That is 100% a completely valid way to live as a responsible adult. I want to tell you that. It's not crazy. It's a life philosophy, and you can follow it too. You can follow this idea of saying yes to things and building a whole new way of life for yourself. It's at times a little disturbing because I don't always know what's ahead, and 5 years ago, I couldn't tell you I'd be sitting in Lisbon, Portugal. So if you're a planner, that might feel a little disconcerting to you to know that life could vary off the trail and you might find yourself in a place you never imagined. But for me, it's a way that I capture this joy and this sense of play, and I live that like that's my real life. It's not like I'm building a life I want to escape from or build a life that I only experience in retirement. This is a life that I'm loving right now at 49 years old. So when I say the word hobbies, a lot of times people think of two things. These two things come to the top of people's mind. When I say live your life like a girl obsessed with hobbies, they think, one, well, I'm not an artsy person. I don't really do crafts. And I think crafts equal hobbies is a very limited way of looking at what a hobby lifestyle could be. I have raised chickens. I have done permaculture. I have dabbled in gardening. I have done it in Airbnb. I have done mural paintings, got into oil paintings. Like it doesn't just have to be that you're hot gluing rhinestones onto your jeans. Like that's not, if that's your idea of what a hobby is, today we're gonna just like expand that a little bit. I have a recommendation for you of some books of people that took this hobby and it completely transformed their lives. I'm gonna film a part 2 to this because I just think like it's really fun to see examples of that in real life, because sometimes like we can't wrap our brains around what this means, to live this life like just a girl obsessed with hobbies, and that's a very appropriate life philosophy. What does that mean? And so I've got that list for you. I'm going to film that in my next video because I think that's going to be really, really helpful to some people. The second thing that a lot of that come to people's mind when they hear me say hobbies or follow this lifestyle like pursuing hobbies is that they hear side hustles. It's like so much of the hobby conversation has been centered around like grinding around your hobbies, like doing this passion and monetizing that passion and replacing your job with your side hustle of a hobby that turned into your passion that now you're making money from. And while that is valid, a lot of people do that. That's not the message that I'm talking about today. I'm not saying find your passion so that you can do it for a job. I'm saying find your passion or passions, because for some of us, and myself included, I feel like I'm multi multi-passionate. I have a lot of different interests. You might see me in my era when I love paddleboarding, but then maybe a few months later, then I'm wholeheartedly into orchids and growing orchids. I mean, she's really cute. Multi-passionate. If you're someone like that, I would categorize myself as that. You just like to play. Like, I'm talking about hobbies as a way to reconnect to who you are at the very juicy middle of yourself. Like, removing all the armor that you've had to just put on in order to be an adult and make it in this tough world, removing all of that and getting to the really core part of you that knows how to play, that knows how to find joy in the really simple things, that feels really content and happy to be alive. Like, that's the point of hobbies for me, of the point of pursuing hobbies for me. It's not necessarily to find the thing that will make your money and replace your career. That can happen. That doesn't have to happen. And that's not my approach to hobbies. So if you're interested about kind of embracing this way of living, this philosophy, this life philosophy, I want to give you kind of a really simple roadmap. Okay? It's not complicated. So the first thing you want to do is crafts or small little things. Those are going to just be tiny ways that you can practice saying yes to things, lots of different things, and bring that into your daily life. So, books, coloring, puzzles, origami, crossword puzzles, like the hidden words that you can circle. Like, think Highlight magazine when you were a little kid, if you can remember what that is. Think placemats at the restaurants that had the little games. Like, just go back and start with very simple things. I actually bought a jacks set where, the ball and then the jacks, and just started playing it and just like allowing myself to play for no purpose. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't need to make sense to people. Just playing. So that's the first step. Tiny little yeses that take the shape of like crafts or games. The second thing, if you want to, so that's the first step in the roadmap. Then the next step would be like experiences. So you start to step out and you start to do maybe something in a group. Maybe you do a ceramics class. Maybe you take a gardening class. Maybe you do a food tour, maybe like whatever it is. It's just a tiny little experience. You just start branching out. You can't do that every day, but you start to see how you can add that into your life. Maybe you go and you watch a lecture at a museum. Maybe you watch a concert. Like just tiny experiences that you can say yes to. And then the next step would be like an adventure. Like, okay, I'm going to do a creative retreat where I go. There's this like company that does like retreats in like the desert of Morocco. Like your whatever adventure kind of like lights you up. That's like the next step along the way of you practicing this as a lifestyle, as a life philosophy. And then what happens naturally when you start to just like embrace that approach to life is that you start to question how you're living life. And then you start to go like, maybe I want to make this life change. Like, it's really big, but I think I want to say yes to it. Like, and then you end up in a kitchen in Lisbon, Portugal. Or wherever it takes you. Wherever it takes you. And that's the beauty. Who knows where it'll take you? That's the exciting part. If you're coming alive to your life and this really landed for you, stick around. Like this page, follow along, because we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about really practical ways to continue just living this curious life and seeing where it takes us. So in the comments, I'd love to hear what's maybe something you're going to try, like something where you're going to play and you're just going to try it. Drop it down below, because I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Maybe you're going to give me an idea for something I want to try. Thanks for being here.